Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, I just had, 10 minutes now before the next student, but I hadn't done a little lesson video in quite a while. So, sorry, I'm trying to be a little bit quiet too because we have other lessons going. But I wanted to do just a little bit more of a technique lesson in addition to role structures that'll really help beginner, to intermediate students. So if you struggle with playing nice articulate clean roles or that kind of thing, and believe me, it doesn't come in overnight. It takes quite a bit of patience and practice. I'm still working on it. So, and I spent, I don't know, maybe 2 straight years just trying to develop the touch and the feel of it, and get a clarity of both opens and closed, so that no matter what my roll structure was, I could pull it off for that many beats, or whatever, 13, 17 stroke rolls, whatever. So first and foremost, and the reason I'm doing this is because I just had a student in here who we were going over roll structures, and he's kind of developed a bad habit of playing all French and all from the fulcrum, and not really using more than just maybe ring and middle finger, but more just all fulcrum rather than supporting the stick and playing with all fingers like that. And because he's practiced like that for so long, he keeps reverting back to that structure. So it's been hard for him to kind of get the right amount of rolls out and get the feel of it. So anyway, and that's one of the number one reasons I teach German or match grip first before we move on to French, because then first thing I told him is first problem, your wrist locks, right? It's like a shaking hands motion where your wrist locks, versus turning palms down. Now you have way more range of motion. Okay, so he was playing more like this, and with kind of a tight grip, not letting the stick have enough of a flex in the hand. We say it's like holding a baby bird. I know it sounds kind of childish, but kiddos get it. It makes sense to them. So it's not a hammer, not too tight. You don't want to hurt the baby bird, that kind of thing, right? But you don't want to hold it so loose it flies out of your hand. Okay, so that's basically what the metaphor for describing that. But you want that nice kind of cradling motion like that. I'm trying to get on the other side, where your fingers are following the stick into the palm of your hand while you're doing it. Now, some of you may have already noticed that I'm using Weckl grip. So we're all taught to play with the pinch in the front. We call this one group. Then your back 3 fingers lightly around the back of the stick. That's another group where they're working in conjunction. But the problem is that with certain wrist strokes and that kind of stuff, you can only bring the sticks so far back, and it's a little bit of a tighter grip more than a more open grip. So you want to see this nice space in here. If you ever find your hands kind of tightening up like that, there's no rebound because the stick has no place to flick back up into in that spot. But I use Weckl grip where I don't even engage my front finger. So my fulcrum basically becomes kind of more towards my middle, but halfway in between my ring and my middle finger. Okay, more like this. So see how my index is just kind of dangling on the side? It's not really being used. I'm using all 3 of my back fingers, where my fulcrum is more in the middle finger, okay? Where the trigger finger would normally be. So first and foremost, then when he turned his palms down, then it was like, okay, now what we do is we call this the throw down, right? And for an open stroke roll, throw down, pick up. And that's also referred to as molar technique, if you get that going in a continuous sequence. That kind of thing. And that's why you see drummers hands or wrist rocking when they're playing like a fast 16ths or even fast 8th note patterns, where you're doing like not only to get a different feel, but what we're doing is we're accenting the downbeats too. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So it's drop, pick up, drop, pick up, drop, pick up, drop, and it gets, it's a little weird at first, feels a little awkward at first, but if you just practice that nice and slow, alternate hands, that kind of thing, it'll come in pretty quick. So, Weckl grip, number one, I know it feels really weird if you've trained yourself and gotten in the habit of playing more close, no space in here, pinch all in the front, playing all from the wrists, not using fingers, that kind of stuff. But the minute that we call this our drummer's V, so if you think of a little bit of an angle, so you're not flat on, so you're playing on the tips, but kind of in a V where you're imagining there's like, a circle in the middle of the drum or a practice pad that you're trying to hit the same surface of. Now if you're watching, the stick is flicking back up into my hand. I'm not guiding the stick back up into my hand for each stroke. The stick is naturally coming back up and down. We call that bouncing of the ball motion. But once you get the energy into the stick, the kinetic energy, and you just keep that bounce going, it's like, you're letting the stick do all the work for you. But see how my fingers are moving like that, pulling the stick down? My wrist is almost stationary. Okay? So that's the first and foremost. You want to just get used to the stick flicking back up with the rebound, because we're controlling the rebound. It's all about rebound. You don't want to injure yourself, and you want to let the sticks do the work for you guys, okay? So now onto the roll structure, okay? So out of this, I'm just going to show quickly. This is a really, really good introduction for early players, in addition to an intermediate lesson for more advanced players. Okay? So I'll hold that there for a second. You can pause on it if you'd like. Okay, the first one, and that's what your roll structures look like. You got a whole note, half note, dotted quarter note, and an eighth note, I believe. Yep. And then each one of those slashes denotes, so think of eighth notes have one beam, we call it, connecting the notes, right? 16ths have two beams connecting the notes. 32nds have three beams connecting the notes. Same idea with the rolls. So if you see three slashes through it, that means it's a 32nd note roll. If you look at the last one, the eighth note with two slashes in it, 16th. Okay? So first one, these are all in 2/4, and they're all double strokes. First one is 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Right, left, eighth notes. Okay? Second one is now single stroke eighths, 1 and 2 and for bar 1. Bar 2 is 1 E and a 2 E and a, double strokes. So it's 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a. Okay? Number 2. All right? And then number 3 is just sustained 16ths. I usually skip that one with my students as long as I can hear that they're playing nice, clear, open doubles. Then when you get to number 4, number 4, that's where the 32nd notes kick in. Okay? It's the same one as number 2, but instead of being 8ths and 16ths, it's 16ths and 32nds. And you're still only playing 2 beats of each. So it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 32nd, 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 1 E and a 2 E and a da 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 da. Okay? Singles, doubles, singles, doubles. Then you can see the very last one. That's what an actual 32nd note roll looks like. Notated, okay? So if you want to pause on those pages, and then I'll demonstrate real quick, okay? So number 1 is to be, and I would recommend leading with your right and then your left. Number 1, 1, 2, ready, play. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. So notes and 2/4, so it goes by really quick. Okay? I've got like 1 minute. The next one, 8th notes and 16th notes. 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 and 2 and 1 E and a 2 E and a. Okay? Then skipping number 3. Now, number 4, you can 100% play it and open strokes if you just started at a slow enough tempo. Okay? So I'll play it slow first and then speed it up a little bit as I go. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1 E and a 2 E and a. 1 E and a 2 E and a. 1 E and a 2 E and a. Okay, getting goofy with it. But then you can start. Last thing, I have to start my lesson right now, but here's a good way to just practice your rolls. You don't have to look at anything, you don't have to remember music or any of that. If you have strong singles, you'll have strong doubles, okay? Because if you're playing single stroke 16ths and you just double that, what do you have? 32nd note double strokes, right? So if you play it like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, same thing, and then 32nd notes. And remember, 16ths from 32nd sound like 1 E and a 2 E and a. Those are 32nds. So as long as you keep that same single stroke motion of 32nds going, then what do you have that if you double that? 64th notes. So. And I was playing those closed, okay? And you're closed, that's why that looseness is so important. I call it a bed. You're giving a stick a bed to lie on. So you're letting the stick lie on this bed of the pads of your fingers while holding loose enough with that space. And then you can see my wrists are almost stationary. I'm just letting the stick do it really is almost like doing this, but just getting the timing of it at the right time, okay? So 16ths, double that. 30 seconds, and then okay, I gotta go, guys. But hopefully that helps, guys. It's a good way to. It takes time. It takes time. Be patient with yourselves. Developing good touch is way harder than playing hard, and you can always play louder and harder, but playing soft and with touch, that takes some serious concentration and development. So, God bless, guys. Hope that helps. Happy drumming. Love you.